PMP certification program, and we are going to do project risk management knowledge area today. As we know that the PMBOK Guide 6th edition has a total of 49 processes, and these 49 processes have been explained across the five basic process groups and the 10 knowledge areas. And project risk management is one among the 10 knowledge areas in the PMBOK guide. And this knowledge area, the project risk management, has a total of 7 processes in this knowledge area. So to start with, first of all, let us try to understand what is risk. See, risk is an uncertainty that may or may not happen. Anything in the state of may or may not is a risk. What is risk? Risk is an uncertainty that may or may not happen, and if it happens, the outcome could be positive or negative impact. The positive impact is called as good risk. You call it as opportunity. Negative impact is called as threat. So you have the good risk and the bad risk. The good risk is opportunity, and the bad risk, the negative impact, is referred as threat. See, for us, risk has always been something, we've always looked at risk as a threat only, but in project management, we need to understand that you have the good risk as well as the bad risk. You have the positive impact, you have the negative impact. So positive impact is referred as an opportunity, and the negative impact is referred as the threat. So what is risk? Risk is an uncertainty. It's something in the state of may or may not. Anything hanging in the state of may or may not is a risk. Now, the place where I stay, actually, in fact, around 5 years back, Telangana got bifurcated from Andhra. So if we go back 8 years from now, say the Telangana issue itself was a risk, actually, because it was in the state of may or may not. Some people used to say that Telangana would be formed. Some people used to say Telangana would not be formed. So that state of may or may not, at that point of time, almost if we go back 7-8 years from now, the issue of Telangana was a risk. When you're crossing the road, you may or you may not meet with an accident. So crossing the road is a risk. At least everyone, once in their lifetime, they use this term risk when someone has to undergo an operation in the family. They ask the doctor, is there any risk or not? So the doctor says, no big risk. In fact, crossing a road is a bigger risk than undergoing this operation. So anyways, risk is an uncertainty that may or may not happen, and if it happens, risk occurred in Iraq. Iraq could be better than before, or it will go to dogs. Risk happened in Libya, in Tunisia. When risk occurs, outcome could be positive, outcome could be negative. So risk is an uncertainty, a state of may or may not. And if the risk goes ahead and occurs, then the outcome could be a positive outcome or a negative outcome. When Telangana is formed, outcome could be positive impact in terms of everyone in Telangana getting a job, or the negative impact would be that the growth would slow down. That's what people used to say, The Andhrites might pull away their investments because, of getting bifurcated into two states. So risk is an uncertainty that may or may not happen, and if it happens, it will impact at least one of the project objectives. This is a definition from a project's perspective. If risk occurs, it would impact at least one of the project objectives. So we said that risk is an uncertainty. So how do you define the term uncertainty itself? See, uncertainty is a lack of knowledge about an event that reduces confidence in conclusion drawn from the data. Like, what kind of conclusion do you draw? If I tell you that someone had a fall from second floor of a building, what could have happened to him? You say, oh, falling from second floor, he might have died, he might not have died, he might have broken his head, leg, internal injuries. So many things could have happened to him. If I tell you someone had a fall from 100th floor of a building, first situation was second floor, and then I tell you that someone had a fall from 100th floor of a building, what could have happened to him? Falling from 100th floor, you say he is dead, period. See, falling from 100th floor is not a risk, it is a fact. And falling from second floor is a risk. Because falling from second floor is may or may not, he may or may not have died actually. But falling from 100th floor, you don't call it as a risk, but you call it as a fact. When you are 80% sure that a risk is going to occur, then that is no more a risk, but at that point in time it turns from being a risk to a fact. Now the work that needs to be done on the project, that's like the scope, the cost, the time, the quality needs, the communication needs of a project could be uncertain, and investigating these uncertainties will identify internal risk of a project. On a project, you identify risk based on the categories, based on the categories. You also call it a source of risk. So let me just check out this. Am I audible to all of you? I hope there's no issue with the sound, right? Yes, please. Okay. Right. Okay, great. So what I was telling you was, the work that needs to be done, the cost, the time, the quality needs, the communication needs on a project could be uncertain. Zooming into these uncertain areas, in the sense incomplete information. See, everything would sometimes not be in black and white. You also have the gray areas actually. So when you zoom into those areas, that's the place where you start seeing the risk actually popping out. So on a project, you identify risk based on the categories. So you identify like the internal risk on the project, the external risk on the project, the technical risk on the project. So these are like the sources of risk or the categories of risk. So investigating the uncertainties from these areas would show up the internal risk of a project. So we said that risk is good and bad. Good risk is opportunity. Example of opportunity is like you get an equipment cheaper than planned. It's like you kept $60,000 aside to buy an equipment down the line 8 months. You allocated $60,000, but now when you have to buy it, you're getting it for $40,000. The price of the equipment has come down. Probably when you took the pricing, this equipment was manufactured in Israel, and now when you have to buy it, they are now manufacturing in China. So from Israel, they move to China, the price would automatically come down. So it's like example of opportunity is like you get an equipment cheaper than planned. Example of opportunity is that a work package happens or is completed faster than expected. You allocated 4 weeks for a work package, and fortunately, it finished in 3 weeks. So 1 week that you save on the work package should be referred as opportunity. So we have like